Right. How was everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
It is. It's St. Lead Generated
Patrick Day.
I notice that a lot of people spell it wrong when they choose to celebrate it.
Mhm.
You get the saint part right. That's all that matters.
Cool. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Awesome. Anybody have any wins to share this week? Nothing? You guys doing?
Goofing off.
Yes.
Well,
I have
can
to
share
win. I'll
something.
share. Oh, go ahead, Laurent.
So I'm a bit late on all my GMBs. Okay, so I have 20 websites that are up and running, but I have a low number of GMBs right now. And I created a new website, and I started my GMB, and I put all my keywords in the title of the GMB. So for sure, it did not miss. It was right away flagged out by Google. But just with one little request, then the next day it was back up. I didn't even have to receive a postcard, and now it's live. So I'm quite happy that I did it, in fact.
So you never received the postcard the first time you made it, and then it just went live?
Not even. In fact, I did set up the GMB on Monday. It was flagged 1 hour after, so it was rejected. So I submitted a claim to Google, and then the next day it was live and
Wow.
validated. Yeah.
Were you able to use your cool French accent when you submitted that claim?
Listen, I wish I could have tried that, but no, not even.
If so, there may be a position for you at my company. Cool. All right, guys. So we are going to get started. I have an update that I was really hoping I was going to have live in your guys' account this evening, but it looks like it's just going to be a few more hours. But it is ready, and I'm going to demo it for you guys, and then it should be in your accounts in the next couple hours. Probably no later than like midnight Central Time, but hopefully sooner than that. So for the last few months, our team has been working on some big updates throughout the application. There's a lot of them that are kind of dependent on each other that are causing slowdowns between each other, but the heat map one is kind of independent. We have some follow-up ones for the heat map that will be coming real soon. But we have some nice ones that are ready to launch in there now. And I think it's going to make a big difference for you guys. I think it's going to make things easier. It's certainly some of the stuff that we've heard requested the most. Okay, so like I said, it is the version I'm going to share with you guys is kind of my own private test version that I run, and kind of Jeff runs as well. Is you know, when we're playing with stuff, we build the features. So kind of our process is we think of the stuff, we design it, we build it, and then we add it into our own test version. We play with it a lot, try to make sure there's no bugs. Then we push it out into the world, and you guys find bugs that we didn't know existed. So we have beat on this a little bit, and I think it's ready for the first half of the rollout. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to take a look at this. I think you guys, I'm excited to have it for my agency, so I hope you guys think this is as cool as I do. Okay, so you can see we have the heat map here, right? And the first thing you'll probably notice is just a little user interface change here. We thought it was a little hard where you had to like go and load the configurations and load the grid. So in hopes of trying to make it more user-friendly, we've kind of moved some of that stuff down in here. So if you're going to do, for those guys who don't know, a configuration is essentially everything that's saved. So let's, give me 1 second here. All right, so let's say I load up Timmy's tree service here. And so a configuration is going to be all this stuff. It's the spot on the map, as well as the actual GMB and the term that was used to do the search, right? So this is stuff that's been around for a little bit. so the first change is just moving stuff around to make it easier for you guys. So now you can choose down here with this, you can choose a saved grid. So I don't apparently have any saved. For those of you guys who don't know, let's just load one of these guys up here. That one. Bear with me 1 second here. Let's load up Timmy's tree service again. I couldn't believe that business really exists. And actually the guy's, looks like he's not on this one, but it looks like he's doing pretty well in a lot. Okay, so a grid, the grid name, this is going to be, this guy's business is in Nampa, Idaho. So I'm just going to put this as the name of my grid. Okay, so now whenever I want to run a GMB, I can come back and just call this grid. I know that for some of you guys, we're still working through a bug where the GMBs are not finding the right location on the map. So we're working through that. But one temporary workaround you could do is you could say I choose Bob's bear removal, and let's say it's, I'll choose bear removal right here. And then I want to choose a grid. Okay, so now I can choose this one in Nampa, and no matter what GMB, it's going to move it and it's going to save the actual shape of the grid, the position, where, like how, whatever you draw it, it's going to save that identically. So that is what this part of it is. So we've just kind of moved this stuff over here and made it a little easier for you guys to use and load. Okay, so that is not the cool part. That's not what I was all excited about. That's just one update that's included with this one. So here's some of the cool stuff that we have for this is we've put in this ability now to group. So if I want to group by GMBs, okay, so for instance, this one's not running. I tried to run a bunch right before this thing. Let me just add more of these. Okay, so we have the ability now to group by GMB, and the averaging is going to work by the groups of GMBs. And you'll see the choices that you have are company, keyword, tags. So you can make whatever groupings you want using the tagging. And then you can use keyword if you want, or you can go by the actual company. So if you have multiple GMBs assigned to one company, then you can do them by the company, or you can do them by the GMB. So right here, I have them by the GMB, so I can see how my thing is performing across. So you can see for this capital carpet cleaning, we still have it running, but let's go down here to one that's completed. So for instance, this one right here. So it's going to average out for me how I'm doing for this GMB. And again, we can do that for company. Okay, so here is another one of the cool features is, let's say I want to select these three and I want to compare these to each other. So this is what else we added. So I can click on this compare after selecting them, and it will take them over into here so that you guys can actually get a side-by-side comparison for this stuff. So we're going to be expanding this. Right now it's limited to 3, but I think tomorrow or the next day it'll be unlimited. So you can have as many as you want on here, and you can just kind of like scroll side to side on it. And so you have kind of like all the stuff from there right next to each other. Okay, so those are the heat map updates we have. I've got some other big ones coming, but I know that a lot of you guys for months have been asking for this ability to compare. And so now we have it. Now we have the ability to kind of stack these up side by side, which the way we have it set up now, I kind of already have my developer working on this because I know the next feature request that's going to be asked is like, let's go over here. So, okay, so let's say we have this Timmy's tree service. Wouldn't it be cool if we could do the comparison from this screen as well and just like checkbox these and compare the competitors to each other? So that's not active yet, but that's what's coming next. So 2 other changes that are a part of this update that I haven't mentioned yet are, you can see now it's kind of pulling in the logos. So it's going to pull in whatever the GMB logo is, just for a little bit easier identification for you guys. And this one is actually pretty simple, but I think it's going to be really beneficial. So now when we're on the averages screen, if you want to know exactly who this is, you can just click on this right here and it will open up the competitor's GMB and take you right there. So you can kind of see exactly who it is, what their GMB looks like. If you wanted to go and kind of go do your due diligence on their website, well, that's like the pathway to it right there is you can just like kind of pop it out. So if I want to see Arbor Safe, and then I can go in here and I can just say, all right, let me check these guys out and see how good their website is or whatever. So cool. So any questions about any of this stuff? Does this look exciting?
Right.
That's super cool, especially the one
excited.
where you click for on the GMB and that we are redirected to the website. I really miss that during my 100 due diligences.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think part of that idea came from yours. I watched your video that you sent on the due diligence, Laurent. And I was just kind of thinking like from a due diligence mindset, what can we do to make it easier? And it's something that I've kind of noticed that I needed as well is just like, man, now I've got to like go back to Google and then search and find this company, right? So I know that a lot of you guys had the challenge where you were working on the due diligence, and maybe this came after you did it, but you know, moving forward for your due diligence, I mean, that's a process we should all be doing. I think it will be a really useful feature, right? So, so yeah, we've got a number of just like small updates, and you know so we have the compare feature now, the ability to group. We think that with the ability to group, it will probably add more value towards the tagging. So this is just a test account that I have in here, but since you can group by tags now, I think you guys will get a little bit more mileage out of that. So you can kind of look at this and get the averaging across a company or, you know, grouping. So kind of where we're moving on from here is adding in a timeline and having more like GMB centric heat map related functionality. So for instance, we're going to have a tab within your guys' GMB area of the platform. So you pull up a GMB, any heat maps that have run on that GMB will be available from within that GMB, and you can be, we're going to kind of build a dashboard around that data, because I know that's important, valuable stuff. And, you know, it turns out when you sit here and stare at the whiteboard for enough hours, you're going to come up with some good ideas on how to make this stuff happen. So this is what we've got so far. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll give you a little preview of, I know a few people have been asking about this. Just give me 1 second here. Let me just pull this one off here and make sure. Oh yeah, okay. So we have
Quick
a
question.
pipeline system here, right? So this we're hoping to have out here soon. So we can have whatever you want to call it. You can make as many different pipelines as you want. So we're just kind of in our testing phase with this. So if you wanted to, let's go back here and say deal pipeline. I know that some of you guys have been asking about some of this. So this could be like, we'll call this Carrie's deal. And you assign it a stage, you can assign it an amount. This one's a complicated thing to add because there's so many different relationships that this has to be a part of, right? So, but we think we have all those. With this comes a, oops, something, it didn't like something there. Oh, it's a stage. Okay, cool. Maybe that will do it. Okay, so then you kind of have this Kanban board where you can drag this thing around and you can set yourself reminders, because as a part of this, we have tasks. So you could create a task and then you could set yourself, hey, I want to do a call with this person. I'm going to assign it to John Smith, and it's associated with Timmy's tree service. And I need a reminder to actually do this. And I'm going to set this reminder, hey, call John, right? So that is kind of our pipeline task section there. And then we also have this contacts here. So every lead that comes into the system will automatically be added as a contact, and any conversation that's happened with that lead, whether that be a phone call, a form submission, a text message, stuff like this, that will happen. So we're kind of in the progress right now of installing texting for Call Sling. So you'll be able to text from your Call Sling accounts to and from and have that be associated with the company. And then the next step after that is to kind of have automated workflows that happen, and texting can be a part of that. So that could be like, hey, I missed this phone call. Let me send this person a text message automatically that says this, and open up that kind of conversation. So we're going to do our best to try to manage that through our mobile application as well, which we're hoping to have out, but I don't want to assign a date because it just seems like it's unpredictable always. Okay, cool. Any questions about any of these updates?
I have a question. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Janari, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you too. So Super cool features. I'm excited about it. Thank you for your hard work and everything that your team is doing. So I know you work really hard on all this stuff. So we greatly appreciate it. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
yes. In regards to the pipeline,
Uh-huh.
is that more on our end to manage to get things done versus like a sales pipeline? Like if I wanted salespeople to come in here type of thing? Am I getting that correct?
That's right. So it's really going to have two purposes. And the first one is the one that you highlighted there. And that's going to be kind of the initial rollout of how you can manage your prospecting and your leads, and you take them through your own sales pipeline, whatever that looks like for you. So we've made it really customizable so that you can adapt this to whatever pipeline you have. The second part of it is we're going to allow the clients to have their own pipelines so they can, this could be another value add for your clients where like, hey, our contractors aren't really doing all the follow-up and the things that they need to, but what if they had a system that was built into management that had to manage that, but had reminders as a part of that. So there's a relationship that can exist between a deal and a lead. And we could set criteria of how when a lead comes in, it can get moved into the pipeline based on like, maybe it only gets moved into the pipeline if it has this status and it's for this company, right? And then your client can log in and it's a value add that you can give to them where it's like, hey, here's a better way. So there's going to be some relationships that happen with the pipeline and our automated follow-up and kind of lead nurturing stuff. So that's, I think, going to add like more reasons for our clients to use it when we can have them like, hey, do you want it to text somebody if you miss a call that just like starts the conversation? Or do you want it to maybe like send a follow-up message if the bid status has been sitting in with the status of like sent for 5 days? Maybe we automatically just like follow up with them. So that's going to be kind of like intertwined with the pipeline system a little bit. So first one is for you, and that's where we're going to launch. And then second, we're going to be moving in and kind of creating more client-centric features that are associated with the pipeline as well.
Now it's interesting because I literally just had a meeting with one of my sales gals that I hired and literally worked on the whole pipeline and sales. So I'm using something else for that, right? Because you guys don't have it in the lead. Now, I don't want to mention the name of it or anything. It has features.
Hang on one second, Janari. Let me
Lania.
I got some feedback here. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
It has features. So this is more what I'm looking at it, using it for my salespeople, right? So basically they'll come in, I do a two close deal. So I do a discovery call, qualify the client, the customer, whatever, the business owner, I'm sorry. And then the second one would be I do Zoom calls. I like the whole face-to-face like this. And that's what I do, right? So in the stages, it'll be discovery call. And when you move it over to the actual sales call, it actually triggers. So you can set up all these triggers where it sends a text to the prospect saying, hey, we got confirmation, set them up for the call, whatever, whatnot. Also emails them. Are those features that you're going to be adding in the future, or is this upgrade kind of doing that as well?
So that's kind of the automated workflow trigger piece that I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. So I'm actually going to go pretty crazy with those and just try to make it really, I think getting those in there correctly is going to add a ton of power to this. Okay. And not only for like business follow-up, but within our agencies, right? If we can almost have like dependencies that are set up to execute certain things. So I'm going to put in a lot of different conditions. I've got it all kind of brainstormed out. So if you go over and looked at, I'm going to use this as a model. This is the one we've been working on for reputation management that we're hoping to release here real soon. But basically you can build your own sequences, right, of events to happen. So this is kind of what we're going to be doing, is like doing it this way. And then you can have variables in there and you can put in conditions where you can say like, okay, if this, and then you choose, what do you want? You want like a status, or you want like some event that occurred? then do this. And then maybe the next one will say, but wait 5 days, or only if this is the case. So if you guys have used Zapier before, then I'm kind of like following that idea. So it's almost like you're going to have the ability to program stuff without knowing any code. That's kind of where we're trying to go with this, is like, and doing it in a way where you can just like drag and drop and make it really simple. I think I'm probably familiar with the one that you're referencing, Janeri, and I've heard, if it is the one, I've heard it's really cumbersome and difficult to set up. And the way I want to do this is like, I would like a grandmother to be able to come in here and just be like, oh, okay, I understand this. Let me drag and drop and make this super simple. So that's absolutely where we're taking it. The automated workflow follow-up stuff is not, it's not complete yet, but it's probably the #1 priority as far as what we're working towards within Lead Generated.
Great. And then, yeah, because right now, obviously I'm using both systems, whatnot. And I would love everything to be just in one place, right? So I know that's kind of your goal, where it's like this does everything. I can really like just run my whole lead gen business, and I have so many different tools. Now, with that being said, since I'm coming up from another system, am I going to be able to import maybe everything that I have going on in that other system when it comes to my sales and pipeline, if I wanted to?
Yeah, I think as long as you can export it into some sort of spreadsheet, then you should be able to. One of the updates we've been holding on to for a long time, just because it's related to so many different things, is this right here, this like ability to import and export stuff. Do we have those buttons reversed? So being able to import like a spreadsheet with all your contacts, with all, and having those kind of be able to use with reputation management, review requests, leads. So we're putting that importing in, as well as for phone calls. So we're building those in, but there's just so many relationships that those things encounter. So I don't know that we'll, I would love to be able to make a one-to-one mapping. It's just like, what does the system that you're using allow from an export perspective?
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
You're welcome. It's good to see you. All right. Any other questions?
Patrick, I had a quick question about the GMB updates that you were mentioning before.
Yeah.
So right now you have the ability to compare 3 different GMBs side by side, right?
That's right.
And with that, that would be maybe more for the advantage that if we are running for one specific GMB, several different keywords, to at least then just compare them side by side, and then maybe remove 2, put 2 others in, just to kind of see the trend. If there's like, say, 6 keywords that we ran.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be really two use cases that are going to come in here really often for that. The first one is exactly how you described it, where it's like, so I'll just do this to kind of demonstrate. So yeah. I've got 3 different keywords for this same Timmy's tree service right here, right? So I've got tree removal, tree care, and tree trimming. So if I want to see how I'm doing, well, I guess there's 3 scenarios. So this is kind of comparing how I'm doing for different keywords. You would also probably want to compare how you're doing for one keyword over a time period to see kind of like, here's where I was, here's where I was a little bit later, and here's where I am now, something like that.
Right.
The next, so those are the first 2, right? Where we're going to compare different keywords, or we're going to compare. And then another really popular one that I think that people are going to be using a lot is, so you can see these are for 3 competitors in the same market, right? So maybe one of these is me, maybe I am Timmy's Tree Service, right? And I want to see how Arbor and how Meridian is, so I can kind of look at them all in one. And we built in here, this is actually an active map, so you can actually like zoom in and out on this thing.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah, so you can go through and just kind of like do a side by side of how the competitors are doing, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Does anything happen when you click on any of the points within?
No. Yeah, we ran into issues when we started doing that, so this doesn't do anything.
Okay,
Okay.
at least it gives you the ability to zoom in and out, like you said.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just, it would get really, really complicated with trying to give you that like full heat map functionality on these small maps when you've got multiple of them here at the same time. So like I said, guys, this should be live in your guys' accounts tomorrow, probably later tonight. And then what you'll see in the update, which I don't even have on this version, is you're going to have the ability to add more than 3, and you'll be able to scroll sideways to see. I think you can put as many as you want in there. There may be some limitation at some point, but maybe you want to add in 15 of them and kind of have them scroll there. So we're going to keep on building on this. I've got a lot of ideas, but we're we've got this kind of like long-term plan, and we put things in order. So now that we have this, we have the ability to do some other pieces in here and kind of build on top of this. But so yeah.
awesome. And then one other quick question relating to this too is when you mentioned eventually being able to have the heat maps tied into the GMB at some point. When you run those, and let's say you've run 6 different keywords for that particular GMB, will those essentially take away from your existing count per month? Or what does that look like, for the heat maps that you can run every month?
Yeah, so what I was speaking to is more about the display of the heat maps. It has nothing to do with running. So every time you run a heat map, it's going to like take away from your count of available heat maps, right? You
Right.
can obviously flip the heat map as many times as you want, right? Like if I were to go through here and click on one of these and then switch to a competitor, that won't take up one of my heat maps. But each time I do a search, that's going to deduct from what I have available, right? So what we're going to be doing is if you go into your Google My Business area here, we're going to be reworking this whole area, I think, to just make it a little bit cooler. But we're going to have a heat maps area over here. So any heat maps that you have run that are associated with this GMB will be showing here. And then we'll just have like dashboards and different types of things. So like what percentage of your heat maps are ranking in the top 3? And what if we had different like graphs and grids and like trends of like what's happening? So that's kind of where we're going to be taking that and kind of strengthening that relationship that exists between the heat maps. Because really what you want to know is like, how is this when I go in here, I want like everything in this one place, right? With my GMB. And to that end, I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview of what's coming. So right now we have this screen here for all companies, which is kind of like, I mean, it's good for getting like some basic information, but here's what I want to do is I want to start tying in all these different things so we can look at our companies and you guys will be able to set up, you'll be able to set up your own fields that to add to your companies and track those fields just like we can with the leads. But what if we have like Google Analytics pulling in your traffic data in here as well as like your heat map averages, and then you could look through your list of companies and kind of like find deficiencies. What if we had like, hey, this is my GMB count associated with this. So this, like when you guys are at the beginning of this business, like I know that Dave, you haven't been in that long, but somebody like myself, where I've got 300 or 400 lead gen sites, I don't know which ones have GMBs and which ones don't sometimes. So I'm trying to take this and turn it into an organizational tool. So as we go from like a smaller agency to a mid-size to a larger agency, we can start to locate these deficiencies and have this be an organizational tool for our company. So that way we don't have so many things in spreadsheets where it's like, oh, okay, I need to do this for this GMB. So like taking that ability to make those spreadsheet type fields and that sorting and searching and filtering and putting it inside here, and not only for the GMB organization, but also for our company organization of like, let's sort by what sites have traffic that is less than 250 visitors, right? Or maybe we can get an alert if our traffic goes from 1,000 to 700, right? So that kind of like GMB and company organization, but these are the building blocks of that, right? First, we have to like make the connection where we get the group averaging, which now we do have the group averaging for our GMBs. Now we can take that information and we can start putting it in other places throughout the application. Does that make sense of where we're taking this?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. All right. Jeff, are you monitoring the questions that are coming through?
Yes, I am. Lisa mentioned it in the Facebook chat, the desire to have the ability to auto text clients when form submissions come in. And I just responded that we do that through Zapier, and that's tops on the list to have that happen through Lead Generator.
That's right. Yeah. So, like I said, for those of you that have your call slings accounts, we're going to be able to have that integrated in there. For those of you guys that don't have, I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to allow you guys to purchase one phone number that can be used for texting for your agency. Okay. So you can purchase one number, and then that can be used out to send out whatever text that you want. Right. So
I don't know if anybody else on this call has used that functionality, but it is pretty badass. I mean, it's a game changer when your client doesn't have to be constantly trying to monitor their emails to see if leads are coming in, and they're just getting them automatically. It's really a game changer. And for me, particularly as a sales person, when I have a producing lead gen and I want to keep control of the leads in the earlier stages, especially when I have a trial client that I'm just kind of checking out to see if it's a good fit, like I keep control of the leads. I have them come directly to me on my phone, and then I can reach out to them and not give them all the information, be like, hey, I just got this 500 square foot, blah, blah, blah. Like, is this something you're going to be able to follow up on and do before I'm, handing over the farm to them? Make sure they're going to be responsive and come back to me. Yeah, I'm on it. I'm going to call them right now, whatever the case. So it really puts you in the driver's seat. I consider leads to be the gold, right? So I try to keep control of the gold until they start giving me something back for it. So it really helps a lot to be to have that on the spot notification.
Fabulous.
yeah. So I think the texting is gonna be huge, and I've probably spent the last week just really focused on that texting integration part of it. So it's not something that's just going to be for leads. It's also going to kind of have its hand in reputation management. We've got it like in leads for the follow-up. It can be notifications for you guys if for whatever reason you prefer to get a text message when maybe a GMB gets suspended. So it's just kind of going to be kind of that full integration where anywhere we can think of it where it can be useful, we'll be able to have it in there and create a lot of automations based on it. So I know that not everyone has a call sling account. So, we're probably, like I said, I'm going to be putting in there a way for you guys to purchase a number, and then you can basically set up these automations without having that call sling connection just for this. It's not going to be a solution for like phone calls or anything like that. We're not going to allow you guys to like answer any phone calls or anything like that on it, but to be able to have your own dedicated texting number for it. That's kind of the plan.
There's
yes.
another question in there, Patrick. Are you seeing that right now? Or?
No. Is this in the Facebook chat or in the Zoom chat?
Facebook chat. Lisa's asking, is there a way to have more lead gen form options for the appearance? In other words, she'd like to be able to change up the color, and also if there's a way to include the title, free instant quote versus building it separate from the quote. I'm not.
Yeah, we have that, and it's just been delayed one step after another. I'm going to share what this is going to look like for you. Just give me 1 second. I'm looking for the mock-up for it. So it's going to be about a 4-day development cycle for us once we start on it, but I'm just having a hard time finding the opportunity to get that going. We've got it all planned out though, and that is what I'm trying to show. All right. So this is our plan for it here. Maybe. I think that's an old one. Hang on a second. Bear with me, guys. Sorry. Here we go. All right. So this is kind of our plan for that is to be able to, so we've got like a 2-step plan for getting this out. So first, this is kind of like step 1. You notice this will be drag and drop to add these fields in there. And then within a field, you can come in here and you can start to control like the width, the margin, the background color, the border color. You still have the same controls that you have now over here. So it'd just be kind of managed that way. And then you have the ability to change this text, background color, header, top, middle, and bottom text, right? So these three. And you can change the background and border, the form width. This is optional here. If you look back at this one, you can show or hide this form heading area. And then down through here, you have additional options for the button if you want to align it in different ways, the text, the font size, the colors. And then, so that's, as I mentioned, that's kind of like step one. You have this preview button where you can see what your form looks like, what it's going to look like on your site. And then step two is we're going to have our designer, who is phenomenal, build out a bunch of form templates that you guys can use. And so that will be like all the different styling and just like all different ways to kind of start. And then you could kind of like edit a template to make it however you want it, but it will give you a great starting spot. So that's kind of the 1-2 punch that we have right now for where we're going with this. Hopefully that answered your question,
Used to
Lisa.
replace the Weebly form, for instance.
I'm sorry?
Is this would be something I could use to replace the Weebly form?
Yeah. So I don't know if you're aware of this, Harry, but we already have the ability for you to replace the Weebly form. What she's speaking about is an upgrade to our current system. So we have the ability to embed forms, right? So if you go in here, so I'm back in, not on my development one, I'm in lead generated. So you can come into settings and then go to integrations. And then we have this embed form option here, right?
Oh, okay. Using that. I got it. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I just,
So
I
this
didn't
would
even
just
think
be
about
an
it in that
upgrade to the
context.
embed form to make it
Great.
a lot more flexible, right?
Yep. That's terrific.
Yep. Okay, cool. More questions?
I don't see any in the Facebook chat.
I have a question.
Sure.
And probably it's something that I could probably watch a tutorial or something, but well, actually I have two questions. So the tags, I probably missed that call. What is it specifically used? I mean, I know I probably can use it however it is, and I know it's to organize things, but when it comes to the tags, is it, would it be more efficient or wise to use it when it comes to you're trying to, you know, pick a location for a specific client type of thing and then label it that way?
So the tags can really, so the reason for the tags is we've got all this data on here, right? And we've put in a lot of different ways for you to sort and search it. And now with what we have here, we have even groupings, right? In fact, I'm just going to step back here on this one for a second. So now we have the ability to do groupings, right? Where we can group by all these different things. So what tags do is they give you the ability to almost create your own sorting system.
Got it.
So maybe like Harry wants to have like, he wants to have a tag for all of his like tree care people that says tree care, and he wants to look across it. And maybe you want to look at the ones that are for, maybe you've got like multiple GMBs that are, here's a scenario. Let's say I've got one company in Florida, right? And I've got a tree care company that covers the entire state of Florida. And before that, I've set up 25 GMBs. So maybe I have like FloridaTreeCare.com and I've got 25 GMBs with 25 different clients. Or maybe let's do it this way. Say I got 5 clients, 25 GMBs, 5 clients. So I go through and I make a tag with each of my clients' names that are associated with these GMBs, because there's no way, since they're all under the same company, there'd be no way for me to like sort it with something we have built in. So that's kind of where tags could go through, where I could say, hey, show me the heat maps for Jim and show me the ones for Tom. And that way I could just go, okay, here we go. Here's the ones for Jim, right? Does that make sense? So
yeah, absolutely. I use Excel a lot and stuff like that. So I get it with filtering, sorting, and all that. So I completely understand. So that's what I thought it was. I just wasn't clear. And then the second question I have, it's about reputation management. And let me know if this is a feature that we do have or something coming. So for example, I got a new client and I want to, you know, be able to set it up where he can go back to all his old customers to get more reviews, right? And he has a list of, I don't know, 100 customers, let's just say. Am I able to upload that so that way it can automatically, maybe I missed it, and send an email to them?
Yeah, so that is the feature that when this contact section here, which is part of like our CRM release, there's this right here where we have this import contacts. So you'll be able to download the template right here and then you just like, so the template's going to be a spreadsheet that says, hey, here's how our system is accepting this data. So you download it and then you put his contacts into our template, and then you come back here and you upload the spreadsheet, and that will import all those contacts in there. And then those contacts will be available throughout the whole system, including the reputation management. So yeah,
Perfect.
the reason that it's taken us a while, and I know that I've kept saying like, hey, this is coming soon, is the contacts are related to not only to reputation management, but to leads, to the pipeline, to tasks. So we have this stuff kind of working, but it's just, we're kind of like ironing out the final details. As you can see, it's good for you guys to see an actual working system here and have it not just be a like a picture of our mock-up. So we're very close on this. You can see we kind of like have all this built in here and all these things set up. But yeah, that's a big part of it. So I'm excited to get all this CRM functionality out there for you guys, because I know that has been, you know, I've seen the comments where other people like, hey, I'm using like HubSpot to keep track of this and this, and I'm like, let's try to get it all in here for you guys so you don't have to pay for these other ones as well.
Yeah, Lou was saying in the Facebook chat, Patrick, that he's happy about the deal flow and the pipeline and really tracking commission deals that have longer sales cycles with his client. He mentioned that it's to manage our sales process because of the embed form. I'm not sure what he meant by that, but it seems like he's using it with his client, the pipeline feature, in other words, to track these commission deals so they both stay on the same page. With that.
Oh, I think what he's saying is he probably took the embed form and put it on his client site. So maybe he has a lead gen in his client site and they use the embed form to pull stuff in there so that he can kind of track.
Gotcha. And then they can both have access to the pipeline and track it on.
Yeah. So to start with, like I said, the pipeline is going to be, I'm not going to immediately release it to like the client user role, but it will be one that will be coming soon afterwards. It's just, there's a lot of extra complications of how we transition a lead into a deal when we start allowing the clients to use it. So for now, it's going to be kind of a CRM for you guys, but like I said, step 2 is like, let's allow it to be used for the clients as well, right? So one of the mistakes that I've made building this thing that I've noticed is we add in a lot more features before we release something. So we're trying to like dumb that down and like, let's get some of these features out there and then we'll add on to them based on the feedback that we get from you guys. For this one, the minimum features had so many connections to other things, but so that's kind of how we're releasing these things now, is trying to get, when we have like minimum functionality, we're going to get it out there and then we're going to build on it after that. But yeah, so that's kind of why we're doing it that way, where we're not going to have it client access from the get-go, but we have like all the functionality that they will need. It's just a couple small pieces to add on. So Lou, I'm glad that's going to be helpful for you, man. I know I'm giving you some long-winded answers here that maybe stuff you guys don't care about, but maybe you do.
He's also asking about snaps and if the form embed from snaps is going to have the same spam filtering functionality.
Yeah, so the embed form can be used on snaps. The embed form has all the spam functionality of the WordPress plugin. The only one that doesn't have that is the script for Weebly. So the pecking order, if you guys are using WordPress, use the WordPress plugin. That's first. It's super simple. You don't have to worry about it. You can build the forms to look however you want within WordPress. If you guys are using anything outside of WordPress, what I would do is I would build the embed form. And then third, if you don't want to switch out your stuff, then you can, on Weebly, then you can use like the Weebly script and it should pull the stuff in there. With the Weebly script, we have had some conflicts that we weren't able to resolve because there's a million different ways to build a Weebly site. And certain maybe 100 of those are going to cause the form to not work right. So, but the embed form seems to be, it's a direct pipeline into lead generated. So it's a lot more stable and easier for us to work with.
I have a question,
Mhm.
another one.
Yeah, keep them coming, Janae.
So in due diligence, I've been working on, I've created a more updated due diligence, and I was looking for something that I can use more as a calculation instead of just a number. I don't know if this is something you think. So this is why. So you know how at the end it asks you to rate, right?
Yeah.
To rate that lead gen. So
Right.
what I was thinking of doing, I kind of did it already, where each part that I'm adding, there's a point that's
I
attached
like
to
it.
it. And then if I can put something in there that calculates it somewhat, then now I know my score instead of me taking a calculated and added it, right? So hey, let's just say that there's a GMB. Let's just say one of the parts is like, hey, there's GMBs with no reviews and no website. Maybe that gets 3 points, right? Because whatever.
Yeah.
And then, before I get that pop up, it kind of gives me a calculation, and now I don't have to think about it.
So it could work like this, right? If we had a checkbox when you created the due diligence sheet that says use points,
Yep.
and then if you check that, then it like enables these, and then you could just put in a point for each one, right? Obviously not for probably like niche name or name a city, but for the other ones.
Okay. Can you
like-
control how many points though? That's what I kind of want. Maybe something.
Yeah, this could just be like a text box here that only accepts numbers.
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Then it sums it at the bottom type of
That's
thing.
right. So you could
Got
say like, for this
Like
one,
Excel. Like Excel, you know how you can just
Yeah,
add it
exactly.
and auto sum and it sums it. So
right. Yeah, I think summing would be easy if we're going to just limit it to kind of one function. But if you start
Yeah.
using like other ones, then it can
I
get
know.
very complicated to program. But I think with this, that would be a simple add-on. So we could just have a button that says like enable points, and then you could just assign whatever it means to you. This is actually really similar to like some of you guys know, we built that tool in the nursing home industry where like people can go and evaluate what nursing home to go into. So that's how it was working. It was using like a weighted point system. So you would go through and you would weight the answer to each question, and at the end of it, it would give you like a point total. And you could also say like, hey, this question is more important to me than this one. So then that would like adjust it, right? So the same team that built that nursing home thing is the team that's working on lead generated. So it's,
okay.
we could
And
probably,
I don't know if
make it super
anybody else
simple.
is thinking of that. I'm just thinking like I was
Yeah.
working on it and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's a great feature. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, I know highly likely or great to go into, but like, okay, what is each part? What is that? What is the score or points I'm gonna give it?
Mhm.
And then boom, automatically. And now it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
That's
Yeah,
pretty
I
simple.
second that. I'd like to see the same thing, exactly the same thing.
Okay.
I like it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll get our guys started on that. I think that's probably like that could probably be done in a day or two. So the question on our end is always like, well, there's a million awesome features that could take a day or two. How do we prioritize? Like for me, one of the ones I want to get the custom user roles in there so you guys can like create your own user roles and a number of these other things, but I will absolutely add that to our list and we'll get that in there. I don't think it's a very hard thing for us to do. I've got a lot of plans for this due diligence thing. I want to create a connection to like Majestic and Ahrefs and have it, you guys can just like put in the site and it can automatically pull in some of the metrics for you. So you don't have to go and search those. So you could put in like, here's the website address, and then it could like, here's the URDR, number of backlinks, traffic. And then, those could be like the predefined fields on our forms now, where you could just say like, drag in like Ahrefs DR, right? Drag in like Majestic Trust Flow. And then you type in the site and then it kind of like fills it in there for you. I think that would really help to automate it for you guys, right? And then you know, one of the ones, I don't know if you guys include this in your due diligence, but I always want to know how many reviews people have, right? I know that it's a ranking factor. I don't think it's like the #1 ranking factor, but I think it's up there. And it also means that I've just noticed a correlation with someone has a lot of reviews. They also have done a lot of other things, right?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. For able to add that eventually. So that's awesome. And that feature
We'll call that the generic feature.
okay, I'll take that. I'll take a royalty as well for that then.
There you go. Cool. We'll have to figure out what that looks like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Pretty badass features, if I must say so myself.
Thank you. They were all Jeff's idea.
Yeah, I have the Jeff section over there.
Cool.
Still
All right.
negotiating royalties.
Outside of the features and the platform, is there anybody that's struggling with something in their business that they could use some guidance on, or my 2 cents?
Can I ask a couple questions regarding GMB heat map?
Sure, absolutely.
I know we've kind of gone over this, and every once in a while, Patrick, I feel like I'm trying to still wrap my brain around a couple aspects.
Mhm.
When we've gone over trainings before, I know we've talked about when trying to improve each pin position on the heat map,
Right.
citations make a difference, periodic posts, Q&A, having a completed profile, all those matter. Going ahead, we've discussed about like geotagging the photos and resizing the photos before uploading them. And then you had also mentioned about changing the file name as well before uploading to a GMB. I'm just wondering if there's any other aspects that I may be forgetting or missing. And then the other thing too is like when you go in to use like GeoImager, you're going to pull those geo coordinates from any pin position to kind of target the neighborhoods, as you mentioned previously, right?
Yeah, so a few things. Of all the things you mentioned, I would say geotagging the photos is the bottom. And I would also add some things that you didn't mention that I would put above geotagging the photo. There's a lot of debate on how much Google values those geotagged photos. So I think it was like 6 months or so, people started realizing that if you download a photo out of your Google My Business, like you upload it with its geotagged and then you download it back down, it won't have your geotag data in there. Like Google's kind of like cleansing it. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't taking notice of it. But historically, I think that geotagging has been overrated, just kind of the way I hear people talk about it. I know we've had a lot of requests for like geotagging photo machines built into this. And one of the reasons that I've prioritized it lower is just like, it seems like all the top SEOs that focus on this, they've like continuously further and further discount the value of the geotag photo. So I just want to make sure that's something that can take a lot of time to do. And I don't know if it does anything, to be honest. So I built in the feature to get the coordinates so that you have that option, because I know that some people are like true believers in that, right? Up here, you can get those coordinates. Some of the things that you're missing, Dave, that I would include are you should be building backlinks to the site that maybe target some of the stuff that you want. I think that's going to give you a lot more bang for your buck. Okay. So for instance, this map I have up here, right? Pretend that I'm not ranking so well for bear removal. And maybe there's a Camp Richardson here and I could get a backlink that said, like let me zoom in more and actually get a neighborhood, right? So this is such a unpopulated area that I might not be able to get a neighborhood. Maybe I can go over here. Let's go to California real quick. Okay. Here's Sacramento, right? So there's all these like neighborhoods. So Arden Arcade, that's a neighborhood, I think. I don't know this area very well. Or Rancho Cordova. What if I had a backlink that was like, in my situation, bear removal Rancho Cordova? So that's basically making a one-to-one connection with what we want to rank for and our site through a backlink, right? So that would be something. You should also be building neighborhood pages that talk about Rancho Cordova, right, on your site. So you want to build as much relevance. You could name your photos on your site Rancho Cordova, right? So these are things that I would prioritize ahead of that. These are things that were unmentioned that I would prioritize ahead of the geotagging the photos. I just wouldn't get too hung up on that. I don't, you can maybe make your own mind up on it, but for my opinion is I don't think it ever was a big thing, and I think it's been devalued since then.
Okay, yeah, because I think the thing that I'm struggling with is like, so let's say if I'm just working on a particular client that is just some GMB management to try and help improve their rankings for a given neighborhood. So somewhere in, say, Sacramento, I'm trying to just wrap my brain around, if I don't have access to their website and I'm just doing GMB management, how can I improve their GMB rankings in any given pin position on that heat map? That's what I'm kind of wondering is
right.
What things you recommend?
I think there's there's some like hidden information hiding in there. The way you have this deal set up. So there's never been a situation like, well, maybe there was at the beginning for me, and I know that's where you are now, but this fact that you don't have access to the website is kind of indicative of your client relationship that you have. So I want to point that out. As these people trust you and they believe in you, they're going to be like pushing their website onto you saying, please take this website and make these changes. And you have to earn that. And don't take this as like, take this as like constructive criticism. This would happen to me all the time. When I was playing poker for a living, someone would be in like some terrible situation at the end of a hand and be like, hey, what would you do here? And I'd be like, I wouldn't have played the hand that way at all, because now I'm like, everything's messed up, right? So that's not the situation you're in to say, but it reminds me of that, where it's like, you don't have the problem is with like the root of the relationship. And it's hard to influence some of these things if you don't have access to the website, right? So that's maybe a separate topic, but when you say that, it sticks out like a sore thumb to me. And I feel like an obligation to point that out and to like, just give you some feedback on it. You need a way to get into the website if you're going to be able to seriously move the GMB, especially if it's in a competitive area. If one of the strongest influencers is always going to be like the organic ranking. Like if you were to go and look, I think it's Moz that creates this Moz ranking factors 2020. I don't know if they've done the one for 2021. We'll just go with this one that's 2018. So local pack ranking factors. So proximity, right? And then look at number 2. So this is supposed to be from some of the top SEOs. Number 2 is link signals, inbound anchor text, linking domain, review signals. That's another one I think you didn't mention, is like getting those reviews on there, not only just reviews from your Google My Business, but getting them from like Yelp and Facebook, and mentioning in there, this is why I've said this, is like get Rancho Cordova or whatever as a part of the review text. And then I would just like group the Google questions as a part of that same, throw those in the same basket there together. So you can influence it through that, but this is a huge one right here. And it's not just linking signals. Look at this, like on page signals, there's citation, click-through rate. That's more website related stuff. So if you were looking at this, the top 8 things, you've got like 1 is website, 2, 3, and this is not really website, but Google engagement is kind of website. So you got like 3.5 of the top things, according to this, which who knows if this is right or whatever. But so not having access to that website is, I mean, it's hard to do. It makes your job harder. And you just need to be earning that trust from them. And the way that you earn the trust is not by like it's by demonstrating your knowledge set on this stuff, right? So the reason that I'm not in this situation, probably Janeri too, is and some of the people that have been in this for a while is like when we start talking and I start explaining this stuff, just like I do, just the same reason you guys trust me, is it seems like I know what I'm talking about with this, right? So when you demonstrate that to a client, they're going to realize that you're outmatching whoever, like whether it's them for their website or whatever, like usually some kind of cheeseball SEO company that doesn't really know what they're doing. Like they have to start picking you over them. And then they're going to be like, Dave, how much more money do I have to pay you to be the one that takes over my website? That's what you should be hearing. And if it's not, let's work on addressing that. And I'll tell you, man, I would be willing to do a call with you because I know you're always on this. Maybe you and I can jump on a Zoom. We can share it with the group. We can do a little bit one-on-one time where you try to pitch me and then I'll pitch you back. And we just kind of like do some reps. And through that, maybe you can level up. What do you think of that idea?
It's intimidating, I won't lie, but you know, at the same time, clearly I need to break out of my comfort zone to try and really develop more of those skills for sure. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that your mindset on this is what's going to make you successful right there. Just recognizing the fact that it's outside of your comfort zone and you got to make that transition, because I had to get out of my comfort zone so many times to get here. Like it's like the first time I came on these live calls in JK, I was a little nervous, and you know, now I'm comfortable with it. And the first time I went to try to talk to a client, I felt the same way. I'm like, I kind of felt like I was an imposter at the beginning, where I was like, man, I learned this stuff so quickly. It seems like I can't be that far ahead of these people. But there's a lot of stuff that is just like, after we hear it, it sounds like common sense that they have no clue about it, right? So if you've gone through the course, you've gone through the training, you built the site, you're light years ahead of these people. You have to speak with it and you have to speak with confidence. And I'll tell you, until you have some like wins under your belt, it's hard to do that, right? It's like when Jeff and I go and talk to people, I'm like, look, I'm going to take over this entire area. I'm going to absolutely murder the competition. They do not have a chance. If you know, so that's hard to say if you've never ranked a site before. But me, I believe it. I already know. It's like, it's already what's happened. You know, it's just like, it's just a matter of time. Like, hey, when is this going to happen? I don't know, but I'll tell you, like, it's going to happen. You know, that's how we operate, right? So it's hard to have that level of confidence and certainty. And if you don't, the client picks up on it, right? And maybe you shouldn't until you do it. And this is why they say, like, why Dan says, like, let's start off with these rules where we're going to go, like, I can't remember what it is, 150 to 400,000 people. And, you know, so that's kind of what the due diligence is all about, is to try to make this stuff. And Dave, I think I've just kind of like heard you've been doing some stuff for some of your friends over this time, right?
yeah, one of them, but that kind of went to the side. So
Okay. The GMB optimization thing that you're doing now, where you don't have access to the website, that's not a friend. That's some other contact, right?
correct. Because one of the concepts for us was just the idea of knowing that lead gens take a bit of time to try and build. And so Jill and I are just kind of restructuring and starting over with going to a different niche and doing some due diligence research on that. But with that said, right now, we need to look at trying to build, even if it's smaller, quicker income coming in with something that we feel like we can manage within the knowledge that we have while working on the lead gens. So that's what came to mind, was trying to maybe just do some GMB optimization for people, some local businesses, to generate a few $100 a month per client. That'll help be seed money while the lead gens are being built and growing. Does that make sense? And that's kind of
yeah,
why
it does make sense.
that's why I was
The
asking
GMB
this question.
optimization is it's a really good way to get your foot in the door, and I would be pairing it with reputation management too.
Right. That was kind of what we wanted to do, but that's kind of why I was asking these questions about GMB improvement when using the heat map, just so that I can actually have the skill set to start working on doing that for now, and actually show that I'm improving someone's GMB rankings locally,
Right.
to earn that income as we're building the lead gens. And that,
You know what you could do, Dave? This
Sorry?
is how you could position this. Jeff, can you role play with me for a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, so Jeff, you just kind of be like a contractor here, like maybe who's in Jeff's scenario, and you've got a website and you've got a GMB, and I'm going to approach you, and this is how I would phrase it as we go through it. Maybe the role playing is not completely necessary, but so Jeff, we have these two different options that we can provide to you. We can do GMB optimization, or we can do GMB and website optimization. If you want to do GMB optimization, it's going to be $500 a month. If you want to include website optimization, it's going to be $1,000 a month. Okay. So we're going through it. We're talking. And he's like, you know what? I think I just want to go with the GMB optimization. Like, I'll tell you what, Jeff, how about we'll make it $700 a month and I'll do both, or I'll do $500 a month and I'll do both. So when you start positioning things this way, here's what you're going to get is you're going to close the lower amount. You're going to be able to close one of them more often, right? If you just come in and you only got like one thing on your menu, or maybe it's like, hey, it's going to be $1,500 for reputation management, GMB optimization, and your website optimization. And then you're kind of going back and forth. You don't want to come out too soon with this, but give them like, hey, I'll tell you what, if you decide that you want to go with us by Friday, this is only going to be good until Friday. I'll do all three of those for $750. And maybe that's what you originally wanted, right? But make it seem like you've got that first, that this has value. And second, you're going to give them a break. And now you've got access to the website, right? So it's not just like GMB optimization. You put a price tag on doing something for their website. And now you've like, okay, now you've kind of, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, for sure. I think the only struggle, like I said, that we were having is if we get some clients that solely just say they want to just do the GMB management and rep management as a small package.
Yeah, I mean, here's
trying
what
to determine what tasks I need to do to improve the rankings of that heat map for their GMB, if that's all I have to work with for now.
Right. And when they say that, this is what I would say. Look, these are the top ranking factors that are going to influence your GMB ranking. And, we've gone out, we've done the research. I've read studies of all the top SEOs, and, about half of the top ones are related to your website. Those are influencing your GMB ranking. So this is why it's really important. 50 to 70% of your clicks are coming from this like GMB area within the search results, but your website actually really contributes to our ability to influence that ranking. So this is why I would like to include that as a part of this. And this is why this has value, right? So you don't need to do a ton of that stuff, but it's kind of hard to win a race when you got an anchor around your one of your feet, right? Where it's like, you're racing against these other people that don't have that. And, if you choose the right markets, then, you can still win that race, but I think you got an uphill battle without having access to the site. And I think you don't want to come in and be like, hey, GMB optimization, and now let me start talking about the website. I think coming in and being like, hey, I'll do both of these for this price. And then they're kind of like on the fence. You'd be like, hey, Black Friday deal, I'm going to lower this and I'll do both for the original price that I wanted anyways. But you have to make this decision by here, because we have other people that are interested in our services. We're only going to work with one person. Like, put some like scarcity and urgency in there. So you're not just out there like floating around with no deadline on this thing, right?
I'd also add a layer of confidence on top of that. If you're kind of discounting like that, and say, look, now that we've been through, we talked through this, like I've done the research on your site and on your GMB, like I know I can crush it for you. I know exactly what to do. I'll do it for X price instead of Y price, because I know I can crush this. Like right on the spot.
You can make it for X price for the first 3 months. Be like, hey, this is worth Y. And I know that you're struggling. I know that you guys are trying to get this business up and running. And this is why I started this, is I want to help small businesses. I don't want to be a detriment to your guys' success. So let's do this. For the first 3 months, it's going to be X. After that, let's move it to why. By that time, you'll believe in me, you'll trust me. If not, no hard feelings. I wouldn't dwell on
Also
that part
gonna
of it
add
too
to
much.
that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Janeri.
I was just gonna say, I think Dave also, I think what Patrick is almost saying is it's almost a disservice of only just doing GMB. Like your service should be, because it goes hand in hand together. So maybe you have to present it that way and then do the promotional sales offer that he's kind of talking about just to get your foot in the door. So maybe don't think of it just only as a GMB ranking thing. Think of it more like bundling it together, I guess. I don't know if I'm right, Patrick, if that's what you're saying. If you
Yeah,
really
absolutely. I think I don't think I do think it's going to be a disservice because I don't think you're going to be successful without having access to the site. When we like, you know, in our agency, we've got spreadsheets right now where we're tracking like so many different website metrics as a part of ranking the GMB, and also just pure content on the pages. Like we pay attention to that stuff, and really what we're measuring on the end is like, how is the GMB ranking? So all that stuff is just kind of like leading up to our ability to rank the GMB, and just to ignore that, I think that's, yeah. And you know, this is all great from like a strategy, and it's important to have these conversations, but I think the better strategy is like be building your own lead gens nonstop, right? Like this is good to get some quick money. I shared a video that I don't know if you watched that one, Dave, or if you were on that call. I know you've been on most of the calls, but there was one like a month ago or maybe longer where it was like a quick money strategy for selling sites. Like you could build out buy a template, build out a really professional site with a like get someone off online jobs that's an expert for $4 an hour and pay them. You could have a professional looking website in almost any niche up and running for probably $80. And I bet you could turn around and sell that for $1,500. Like if I were in this like quick money spot, I would just be like blasting people every day with like, I would find a way to be sending out, you know, whether it's Facebook messages, emails, whatever, of like, hey, plumber in Denver, I'll sell you this site. I'll have this live for you in like a week, $1,500. You know, that would be my strategy. But GMB optimization is a great way to get you in the door, but selling somebody a website is also a great way to get you in the door, and it's more money and you know, maybe less work, and it's guaranteed, right? There's not this like, is this person going to deliver type thing going on? It's like, here's the website. It's already ready. I just got to transfer it to you, right? They don't necessarily understand the fact that they could buy a template and like hire a Filipino and like change a couple things and have this, like, it's just like, they're focused on fixing toilets. They don't understand that stuff, right? So like that would be my quick money strategy if I were in your shoes, not GMB optimization personally. And then I would be using that to like build as many lead gens as I can. Like we're still building lead gens nonstop, right? Like we're starting new sites almost every week.
Got it.
How many sites do you have built, Dave?
We've got 3, but now that we're shifting gears a little bit, our focus is to build another 5. So we're just in the midst of still doing due diligence for this different niche. And then gonna start just trying to really hone in and focus on just that for now. You know, part of it too for us is just the financial, getting the sites and everything that's involved in it, because budget's just really, really tight right now with our personal situation. So,
Dave, are you on a monthly plan with Lead Generated, or did you buy a yearly one?
no, we leveraged, so we bought the whole year.
Okay.
We're at that upper level.
At the enterprise?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was trying to think of a way that I could give you something free if you did something, like if you got so many sites built. I want to come up with some kind of contest for you where you got to get more than 3 sites, right? I don't know what the structure looks like for this, but you know, they did a contest in JK who could build 10 sites in 24 hours, and we built 10 in 24 hours. You've got 3. And I know you've been in this for, when did you join? November?
No, Jill's actually originally been involved with JK for probably pushing almost 5 years now.
Okay.
Put it to the side after a year because of personal stuff, and it's only been the last year that we've suddenly both really been starting to try and work on it and really get serious about it,
Right.
you know, in the midst of personal challenges. So
Yeah. When I joined, I was like in a really good personal situation to focus my time on this. And I know that so many people out there dealing with all sorts of challenges. One of the challenges, by your own admission is like being on a tight financial budget. And it can be tough to try to find time to do this stuff when you got other things going on in your life. But I'll tell you that getting on the other side of this from a financial perspective can take a lot of the stresses off your life. And a lot of what we don't realize that as part of this process is the thinking that we do on it, right? That's where most of our time is on this, is the actual thinking. So if you were at work all day and maybe like when you're driving to work or when you got a break, you're on your lunch break or you're driving home from work, going to the restroom, always to find this opportunity to get the thinking out of the way. Okay, these are the niches some of the niches I'm interested in going in. What am I going to talk about? Get obsessed with this. And this will you'll start filling in those little time periods that you have with whatever your day allows to get this thing moving down the track. And how many free hours do you have right now on a weekly basis, Dave?
quite a bit more because I've actually been out with an injury. So right now I have time, besides occasionally doctor visits and that kind of stuff, but I'm primarily the one that's got a bit more time than my partner does.
Okay.
Still working full time.
All right. Here's what we'll do. When does your subscription expire for Lead Generated?
I want to say October, November, or something like
that. If you build 10 sites before next Wednesday's call, I'm going to give you 4 months free. Okay. At your current package. So instead of expiring in October, then it'll expire in like February or something like that. Okay. So, I don't know if you're planning on renewing for the full amount, not renewing, or if you were to renew on a monthly basis, that would be $1,200. So we built 10 sites in 24 hours, and those 10 sites I think are bringing in $20,000 a month for us now. So we built those. That was 2 years ago. You got to do your due diligence. The sites don't have to have like 10 pages on them. So get 2-page sites, a home page and a contact page. Okay. That's the first requirement. 10 of those. The homepage, I want to see at least like 1,500 words on it. Contact page, whatever. But they have to be like registered, not on like whatever, test.weebly.com. They have to be like timmytruecare.com, right? On a real domain with the stuff. And I would say the content doesn't have to be, we've been playing around with this, but I don't think the content has to be completely unique. Okay. And take that with a grain of salt. Just my personal opinion. I don't want to send you guys down the wrong road, but I think mixing it up a little bit is advised, but making every single word unique. I'm not sure if it's too similar, Google's not going to index it, but if you have backlinks coming to it, I think Google will index it. And so I wouldn't be spending anything, but I would just be like, hey, write it out. If you're using the same niche, when we did the 10 sites in 24 hours, every single one of them was in the same niche, and we just copied existing sites. And then we like mixed up we reworded a lot of the content, right? And then we changed out some of the images and stuff like that. We changed out the cities, some of the H1s, this type of thing. So does this sound like a challenge that you're willing to accept here, Dave? Next Wednesday, 10 sites. I'll give you 4 months free for this. And I'll tell you what, I'll throw into that too. I'll give you that call. I'll give you like an hour. I would like to get Jeff on the call, and we could do like a 3-way coaching where you're pitching. Okay. And then that would be put into the group as something that could be shared for everyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Are you excited for this? Are you going to go after it?
I'm more nervous than anything, to be honest. But
Sounds like
I
you
understand that
struggle.
it's like, you'll feel like you have, almost like you have to answer to me because I'm putting this challenge out here. But I'm doing this to try to help you get out of your own way, because being in this for this long and having 3 sites, you're just not going to get to where you need to get to. Like, let's get it done and just work your ass off this week. And then let's set a new standard for what we can do. Because I know when we built those 10 sites, I was at $2,000 a month. I had been in for 2 years, and I had more than 3 sites, but I had built all these sites that were just kind of like, just didn't really have a lot of direction, and then when we built the 10 sites in 24 hours, it was like, okay, this is a new standard of what's possible. Right. And then, a few months later was the JK event. And then, I don't know, 14 months or something after that 10 site challenge, I was at 40K a month. Right. So like, you've got to snap that gear. You're not as far away from this as you think you are. It might not be a skill set, like talking about whether like we should geotag the photo, and like, honestly, like that shit doesn't matter. What matters is like let's pick out Tommy's nephew built this site for him, and that's who we're competing against. He has no idea what a GMB is or geotagging. That's who we want to compete against. And if you can choose 10 of those, then you can accelerate this. So I think your biggest challenge is not like a skill set perspective. I think it's your confidence in yourself. And that's why you're like a little bit nervous with this. It's like, you can pick the easiest people to play against and beat these people 10 times. And if you choose the right niches, I want each one of your sites. Here's another requirement that I would like to make for these 10 sites that you're going to build. Make the average ticket cost of the niche be at least $750. Okay. Because otherwise you don't want to build 10 sites in dog grooming and you have to send like 900 dogs to be able to make $1,000 off this site, right? Let's do something where we can send less leads and get paid this amount. Are we on the same page here?
Yeah.
So
I think Dave also, I'm sorry to interject, but it's more about, you got to believe in yourself. I think Patrick is right on everything he's saying to you, but you really have to believe. And you got to understand, you don't have to know it all, right? You don't have to know it all to make money and to do this. The training is enough for you to get through it. And you'll do it. You got to believe in yourself, because I don't think you believe in yourself. So
yeah, you got to take risks too, and you got to understand that they're not all going to be winners today or tomorrow. Like right now, I have the luxury of Patrick's portfolio of sites. Right, he has literally hundreds of sites. Like there's no lack. Like we have to juggle this stuff. Like, which one do I sell next? Like, there's so many of them. It's just, I just look at it as money on the table. It's lying on the floor. I got to go pick it up. That's what I got to do. So when you get to that point, you want to create those problems for yourself. Like I see Graham popping up in the chat here about how many sites he's building. He's creating those kinds of problems for himself, right? He's creating the problem of having so much stuff that he's gonna have to go sell it, and there'll be prioritization of, this one's getting 10 calls a month and the other one's getting 20, and the other one's getting 5. It's all valuable, but which one do I pay attention to, right? And so I think a lot of these problems are the reasons or challenges. This is the reason that Patrick built Lead Generated to begin with, just to create efficiency and solve some of these challenges and get past them and create solutions.
Hey Dave, let me throw something at you, because I've managed to stop myself as well as anybody that I've met in JK so far. I've got, I don't know, 16, 18 sites now. And a bunch of them, there's a cluster of them that are in concrete. And as I did successive additional concrete sites, and I was getting Donnie Leeds to do them DFY, and I've already prepaid him for those. But as I did each one, I got better and better at my keyword research, and I got better and better at my due diligence. And so the result is that even right out of the box, the ones that he's been doing for me begin to rank in for some keywords, for important keywords, really quickly. So what my VA and I are doing, and my VA just completed it yesterday, is I gave him a list of cities I had been sticking to the state of Virginia, but now we expanded to the United States. But I gave him a list of, I don't know, let's just say 80 cities. And he did what I consider to be my quick and dirty due diligence. And my first pass due diligence is to go in and look and see if in the 3-pack, there's somebody that does not have at least one listing there that does not have a website. Because if I can get it, that's the easiest place to rank, easiest way to get in. You don't even have to have a website to do it. But what he did was he created for me a list of how many of what I call those GMB gaps there were. So wherever I found a city with 2 gaps, that means I'm twice as likely to be able to get my GMB in there in my website. So what he and I are going to do, and I'm meeting with him when I finish with this call in 30 minutes, is we're going to pick 20 of those, and we're simply going to take my best concrete site and replicate it with new niche and city names. That's all we're going to do. And we've already gotten the 9 pages built out. The copy's already there. We know the keywords. Then once we publish them, we'll go in and we'll do the fine tuning and improve the copy and, you know, move the words around, because I agree with Patrick. I absolutely know you can use duplicate content, but it won't be duplicate when we finish. But it won't take me personally, because I'm good at words, it won't take me long to go into every site and rewrite all 9 pages. I can probably do those in each one of those in 2 or 3 hours, and then we'll be done, and they'll be up there and they'll be working. And that's all you have to do.
Yeah,
it's
Dave,
not
that's a
exactly
great
what
plan.
Patrick was
Yeah,
suggesting.
he's laying out a good roadmap for you.
You get going. You're going. And then the other thing I'll say to you is this: pick whatever route you take, whether it's exactly what Patrick is suggesting or what you want to do or what I'm suggesting or anybody's suggesting. Just go until you hit a wall. And when you hit the wall, reach out. I know everybody on this call would help you. And I imagine there's another 2,000 or 3,000 people in JK who will help you as well. But just run like hell till you hit a wall and then reach out. And we won't let you get stopped.
I appreciate it, because that's, you know, not to go into other directions, but I think when Jill first started hitting it up, she just felt like she was hitting walls with even trying to absorb the material, understand it, and then occasionally reach out, and just met with radio silence. So, you know, it is what it is. It's various experiences, but, you know, it's trying to find the right people that really do want to give back. And I certainly feel like this group is very different in that respect, that everybody's really good at putting into each other and giving feedback and that kind of thing. So I'm very appreciative of this group, Patrick, and everything that you give on a weekly basis, especially because it's not just lead generated itself, but things like tonight and taking all this time, which I feel bad about, but I'm very appreciative of as well. So
yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. You're welcome. And I think it's probably obvious that for me, the reason that I do this stuff is not to try, I mean, like, making money from the software is awesome, but helping people is really my passion, you know. And like, I get something from this too. When it's my time to go and I'm going to die, and like, I want the world to have been a better place in some way. If one person can just be like, man, that guy helped me get to the next level, that guy made it better for me, then I'll feel like this was a life that was like well lived, you know. And so that's kind of like something that's in my mindset on a daily basis, is like let's have an impact, let's make a difference, let's make this world a better place. And like, so don't feel bad about this, don't feel bad about asking for help, because it's a two-way street here where I'm getting something from this too, right? And my intention is, Dave, like, when you get to this next place, you get up and you're like, let's get through this time of your life where you're like, money's funny, let's get to that next spot. When we get to that next spot, there's two things I want you to do to pay me back. One is to help somebody else out, right? Okay. The second one is, if we ever meet, you can just buy me a drink or something, man. I'll take like a White Russian and a handshake, and we'll call it even.
yeah, or 4. Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker, so like, just like
That's
take
okay.
it easy there. But like this, like all of us, we didn't start at the same starting line, right? You know, we all started in different places. We've got like different abilities. You know, I was fortunate to come from a family where I was very loved and supported, and you know, I was educated, and like I grew up at the time when the internet was taking off. Like that's when I was in college, right? So a lot of this stuff has come easy to me, and you have your own battles, and I don't know what those are. And you know, if we can, we're all humans trying to make the best decision with what we have, and you know, with the information we have. So like, I like trying to help people. I like trying to help. I understand the challenges. I understand that this can be intimidating and frustrating, but life is short, and you got to get out of your way, and you got to take some chances on this stuff, man, because you like, you know, I always have this like, these like little movies that are going on in my head. And there's this one, I've shared this before, where there's like a street and there's two lemonade stands on both sides. And first one, the people just like set it up and they start selling lemonade right away. And they just got the stuff from the grocery store, and there's cars going by. Across the street, there's these other two girls, and they're like chemists over there, and they're taste testing and doing all this stuff. And they're not even open for business. And there's other girls on the other side of the street. They've just been selling their grocery store stuff the whole time, and it works great. So you got to cross the street and just start selling the stuff, and just be like, this isn't going to be perfect. When I started building lead generate, it's still not perfect. Look at you guys see bugs and ways that we can improve it. I could have kept this thing in the factory or the laboratory for another year building it before I even launched it. It's like, there's mistakes in there, right? Like, and it's a balance, and your bigger mistake is not that you're not selling a perfect product. It's that you're not selling anything at all, right? Because like, no matter what you buy in the world, it could be better. There's always a way to like, okay, we can make this better. So you got to take action. It's a bigger mistake not to take action and just like sit on the sideline while everybody else is selling the stuff. There's people that have probably joined JK since we started this group that didn't have any sites, and now probably have paying clients because they just went in there and just like, not afraid to look stupid, not afraid to make mistakes. And not only that, they learn more. So, you know, I do my best to try to like communicate this to you guys to like, hey, wake up. Life is now. Let's start. You have this awesome skill set from this. You got a race car that's sitting in the garage, and like, it's time to take it around the block a few times, right? And like, let's start dropping these all over the United States. So let's do this. Can you do this? I want to hear that you're going to have this done next Wednesday when the call starts. Your 10 sites built, 2 pages. That's all. So you basically have 10 pages of content to write with 2 contact pages. You've got domains to buy. I know that I saw like a comment in the Facebook chat there with somebody that said purchasing them. For you, I don't want, like with Money Funny, you probably weren't going to purchase them, but I think it's important to build them at the beginning, right? Because later, as we scale this, which may seem like it's way far down the road, when you have 100 of these, you're not going to be the one that is, you're going to be managing people rather than building them yourselves. And you've got to have a baseline skill set on these different pieces if you're going to be an effective manager. Okay.
Right.
Are we in? We got a deal?
Yeah.
We do like a virtual,
You said
we're good?
bail forward and see what happens. And if I fall on my face, well, screw it. I mean,
That's right, man. I guarantee you that you're going to be further ahead. Like, here's worst case scenario. You build all 10 of these sites, none of them rank. You will have learned something during this week. I think that's almost a 0% chance. Like, do your due diligence, take your time, look at the stuff, go back through, maybe watch last week I did a lot on due diligence. And then I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before that, I did some more on it. Look at those 2 videos, apply the rules, and go and get this, man. You can do this. There's like every single person on this call is telling you the same thing. You absolutely do this. One of the big phrases that always sticks in my mind is like, the man who says I can't and the man who says I can, they're both usually right. So you just, that's all. It may take you years before you get to the point where you can say I can, but once that happens, that decision happens in a second, right? It's all this like mental stuff, right? And I mean, there's like, look throughout history, the fortune favors the bold. Like, all those types of sayings exist on that same thing. So
The only reason I'm sitting on this call with Patrick is just one big string of mistakes. That's the only reason. I mean that in the most complimentary way to Patrick too. It's like, I would have never. I just fumbled my way into different opportunities. Is what I mean. It's like that's just the way it works,
Dave,
I wasn't
those
afraid
guys-
to go out and fall on my face and
those
then
guys
pick
are
myself
bikers.
up and get to the next step and the next step.
Patrick and Jeff are pikers, Dave. I've made all those mistakes 3 times, not just once. Patrick made them 1 time, and he was able to keep moving. I made them all 3 times.
I'll go along with it, but I feel like I've made these mistakes so many times. There's so like, I mean, if there was like a tape recorder on my desk where like you hear me cussing at myself, like, Patrick, you dumb son of a, like, why did you do that? That is so stupid. Just like it happens all the time, man. So it may look, you could almost say like there's a relationship between who's ever made the most success or mistakes and success, right? Like I might have failed more than all of you guys on these sites, right? I've got, Jeff, how many sites do we have that aren't ranking or that we don't have sold? Like 80?
I can't even count that high. It's like
We got at least 80
ridiculous.
sites that we built.
We have so many we don't even know what all of them are.
Yeah, I've got a spreadsheet and I'm like, I've got domains where I'm like, did we build that site? Do we even own that domain? And then I go and there's like a site there with like 10 pages on it that okay. Like, so.
But then we start getting calls and they start coming through to my phone and I'm like,
right.
shit, I'm going to go sell this.
All right, guys, it's been over an hour and a half. I'm trying to keep these calls at an hour. This is probably personally my favorite call, man. I love this type of stuff, Dave. You can do this. I believe in you. I know there's other people on this call that do. I'm glad that you're getting a lot out of this group. Make a commitment and be afraid to just fail on this stuff. Because I'll tell you, I promise you it's a bigger failure to not try than it is to like try and maybe not be 100% successful. You got this, man. You can do this. So I'm looking forward to it next week. Send me a message with your 10 sites before the call starts, like maybe 15 minutes before the call starts. And then we'll go through and if you want, I can even go over some of those. And then after that, we'll set up that time where we'll do a call, man. I'll give you some time where we can do some role playing and we'll start to get that confidence level jacked up so that you can sound like a boss when you're talking to these people. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the new features that we have rolling out in the heat map. Look for those. Like I said, I think those will be live in the next probably 3 or 4 hours. Okay. Just got a couple of final changes to make and then we'll be pushing them out. So have a great week, guys. Good luck. Thanks for tuning in and we'll see you guys in the group. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks to all of you.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, have a good one.